Hey guys, welcome to another video. You've seen the title. Is VR pish or not? I think VR is one of these things. It's been out. Well, before I get started, I've got to introduce my special guest. Well, in fact, you're now a bloody regular. Dale, how you doing?
I'm all right, thank you, mate. How are you?
I'm absolutely wonderful. Sorry for the lack of notice. I literally said to Dale about 10 minutes ago, we were having a chat about something, and I said, "Do you fancy a quick half an hour session on talking about VR?" And he went, "Aye, all right then."
Yeah, I'm a cheap guest.
But I'm very spontaneous. Sometimes I think, yeah, let's just do it, and sometimes that's the best way than over planning these things. So anyway, is VR pish or not? I mean, how long has VR been a thing? I remember watching Games Master, and they had, well, it was called virtual reality headset. I don't really know. That wasn't a home console or anything, was it? What was that linked to, that big headset?
I don't know. It was the Nintendo VR that got me interested in VR in the early days. I mean, what was that? That was the 90s. They came out with
Virtual
that
Boy.
Virtual Boy, wasn't it? Which failed miserably.
Yeah,
and I suppose I get mixed up a little bit with
Virtual Boy. You see it?
Yes. I see it. The red monster.
Yeah. Have you actually tried the Virtual Boy?
When I was over in the States, it had just been released.
And what did you think of it? I know it's probably a while ago when you tried it.
If you've ever been in the States and you go into a toy store, they usually have a stand and it's got Nintendo over it, and they've got it on their little, and it came on a stand. You know, it's got that wiry type stand and so forth.
Yeah.
And you have to put your eyes through it, you know, like this, and then play it. And I found it uncomfortable. I thought, oh, I bet this is all right if you get it at home. But I wasn't tempted to buy one and bring it back to the UK with me. I know that there'd be a power supply and a stepper that you'd need and all sorts of stuff. But I thought, oh, well, if it comes over, I'll have a little go. But apparently it wasn't worth doing that. By the time I'd got back home, it was having pans of critics turning around and saying, this is giving people migraines. It's always just red. It's not particularly effective. And of course, it died a death, I think, within a year. I think it was less than a year.
I think it did. I mean, the first time I tried it would be, I don't know, 2005. I was at a sort of a retro event and somebody had it. And that's the one that I tried. I eventually bought it off my mate about, I don't know, 10 years ago. In fact, that's one of the things that appears in my intro. You see me going like that.
Yeah.
And that's probably the last time I actually used the thing, was about 10 years ago. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to call it well, I don't know what VR is. It's not surround the sound. I mean, if you've got the headset on and you turn your head, the game's just going to turn with you. It's not like immersive VR. I would say it's more like a 3D screen.
Yeah.
I have to say, I think the effect is very, very good. I mean, when you consider I think it's all mechanical. I think it's all mechanical mirrors and things. And I mean, I should probably seriously think about selling it while it still works, because chances are, but one of these things I'll pick up one day and it'll just not work, and I wouldn't have a hope in hell of fixing it. But I mean, I've got to commend Nintendo. I mean, that was, when did you say it was? 1990, 1991, something like that came out?
It's mid-90s, I think. I mean, I was going over to the States twice a year between 1991 till about 1998. So it would be between those 2 points. And I'm pretty sure you're about right, 94, 95, something like that.
So, I mean, it's the best part of, what, 25 years old?
Yeah.
You know, and I think it was good. Yeah, I mean, it was, obviously the technology wasn't quite there. It's very, very heavy. You know, you can't really strap it to your head as such. And I can't really vouch for the headaches, because, and I'll probably admit that even with the current VR systems, it's something that you can only use for a short space of time, especially that, you know, you're only going to want to play it for 5-10 minutes. But no, I thought it was good. I mean, so after that disappeared, I don't think there was any, well, as far as I'm aware, the next sort of VR that I was aware of would be when, well, obviously the Oculus Rift came out, I think it was.
There were, I mean, I remember the development cycle for it. There was lots and lots of like science programs, like you'd have on BBC News programs, where they'd do a 20-minute segment of like Tomorrow's World type thing.
Mm.
And and Oculus was then its own company, unlike it is now. And they were developing the controllers and what you can do with this. But I think you used the correct word there, and that was immersive, because you can get confused over what is 3D and what is VR, and then is there and you can sort of like think that they're the same thing. Immersive is the thing, because the Virtual Boy is more 3D, just like you said. Immersive VR is pretty much what Oculus is, and all of its derivatives. So
where you turn round and you look up, you look down, you look behind you. That's because
we can all talk about 3D and say, well, what was your first 3D experience other than looking through your own eyes? And it would have been at school. They used to have those photographs that you stuck at the end of a pair of binoculars, and you moved it back and forth, and there was a side-by-side image, and you got a 3D picture of some 1912 old codger in front of a cottage or something. I don't know if you remember those things.
I don't remember that. That's either
you
before or after.
If you go to a museum, you'll see, oh, look, they did 3D photography back in 1912, and you're going, bloody hell. But that's 3D, not VR. So
the first kind of I mean, to say 3D, to the first sort of experience of a non-flat picture, to call it 3D is probably taking it, but I always remember. Do you remember Shreddies, the cereal Shreddies?
Yeah.
That's back in the day when you used to get a toy in the cereal, and the first thing you did was you'd convince your mum to get you Cocoa Pops, even though they're bad for you, and then you'd empty them all into a bowl and get the toy. Can you imagine doing that in the current COVID-19, putting your hand into a bowl of cereal and whipping out
I remember, I mean, going back to all of that, my mum, she used to buy cereal and it would be a toy. And I tell you, I'd be in that box, opening it all out, trying to get the toy out, everything everywhere. And then I didn't want to eat the cereal. It was like, no, I don't want the cereal. I just wanted the toy out of it.
That's when life was far simpler. But yeah, I always remember Tom and Jerry. I think they were like the sort of, they were the adverts for Shreddies. And I always remember you got these little, they're like the size of postage stamps. And it was a little, you know, the thing where you hold it up and you just tilt it and it looks like it's kind of moving.
Yes, yeah.
There was that, and then of course you can't forget Viewmaster. Do you remember Viewmaster?
Viewmaster, yeah. That
was quite, when you think about that, that's actually quite cool. I think they go for a pretty penny actually on eBay nowadays.
The original Viewmaster, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
You know.
Probably made of asbestos or something, that enough, but yeah, I mean that was quite impressive. So that was kind of the early 3D that I kind of recall. Obviously, you had as you say, we had the game, not the Game Boy, what you call it, the Virtual Boy. But I think the Oculus Rift became a thing. One of my mates, the first time I tried that, it was at the computer club. I don't know when it would be, probably about 5-6 years ago. And I mean, this guy, in fact, it's Ian Cullen, who's part of our little gang. Mappy 20, I think, is it Mappy 24?
Yeah.
Ian brought along his PC, his monitor, his Oculus Rift, and he gave us a go at this thing, and my mind was just blown. You know, I thought, where can I buy this? The problem you go to these computer clubs or that computer club is somebody always brings along something that you go, I've got to have that.
Yeah.
Whether it's I don't know, whatever it is. I mean, the amount of stuff that I've bought on the back of being to the computer club. Conversely, the amount of people that have bought stuff that I've taken along, oh, that's brilliant. The same with YouTube. I'll show something on YouTube, and then you know, somebody will see that and well, I need to have that. Because if you've got a mate who has got the same interests as you, there is nothing. You'll never get a better review than your mate saying this is bloody brilliant. You think, well, you know what? I'm into the same stuff as him. If he likes it, then I'm bound to enjoy it. So anyway, I was all for getting an Oculus Rift until he told me that I needed like a £500 graphics card, and the thing itself was like £600. And I'm like that's me. I'm out. And then I think the next thing that I remember, and I did do a review of it, and Bangkok Ian, I've not seen that. I've not seen his Ian for a while. He bought, it was what was it called? I've got it up there actually. The Samsung VR, Gear VR, basically the headset. You put your phone in. I bought that. It was 90 quid, and I just thought this was the most amazing thing ever. I thought it was incredible, and I was telling everybody about it. I mean, I remember I was so excited about it. I was like phoning my mates, you need to try this, you need to try this. Oh, what is this? It's you can watch Star Wars in the movies, and you're in a cinema, and I was trying to say it, and nobody bought it, but I was so excited about it, and I thought it was an amazing thing. So then Bangkok Ian, he upgraded to a Samsung S7, I think it was, just to buy this. And then he conversely then went and bought an Oculus Rift. He bought all the VRs, the Vive, etc.
Yeah.
So I got that thing, and that just kind of piqued my interest in VR. The problem with that is the phone, it just drains the battery quicker than my daughter drains my wallet. You know, you put 100% charge in it, and within about 20 minutes, the phone's red hot. In fact, it'll actually switch off, because I think it puts too much kind of pressure on the phone. So it became a thing. I mean, it sat on that shelf for quite a long time. I loved it, but it was too much hassle. And when you want to install a game, you had to take something off and all that sort of fanning about. So that was kind of it. And then I think the Oculus, because of the price point, the price entry point for like a PC VR, your Vive is £500-600. Again, you had to get a £600-700 graphics card. You know, I was never going to buy that. I couldn't afford it, whatever. So the whole VR thing, I wasn't interested, you know. Well, I would have if somebody had bought me it, but I wasn't interested because I simply couldn't afford it. And then what was the next thing? The Oculus, not the Rift, the Oculus Go, was it called? Was it the Go? Was that the first?
I think there is a Go. I think it was their budget version. If you call it budget, it's about half price. But
I think it was about 180 quid. In fact, my mate, the Lawn Boys Post in 1975, Dave bought one, and he raved about it. And he basically says it's like the one that I had for my phone, but you didn't have to put a phone in it. And I kind of toyed with getting it, but I don't think it was any more powerful than what I already had. So it was like a lot of money just to not have to put a phone in it. So I just didn't bother. And then my mate, just before lockdown, my mate Kenny, Axeman, who sometimes he was the original moderator on the live streams, Kenny was talking about this VR thing, and I said, "Oh, what's it like?" And he went, "Oh, it's amazing." So I invited Kenny to my house, and he brought this thing along, and I was just like, "I've got to have one." And I'm one of these buggers when I want something, if I can afford it, if I want something, I'll usually have it in my sweaty paws within a couple of days, and sometimes I'll go and I'll buy, not an impulse, but I'll buy something, and then a couple of days later I realise I could have got it cheaper, or I could have got a better deal, whatever. But I'm a bit of a twat when it comes to things like that. So anyway, straight onto Gumtree, Oculus Rift, and there was this guy selling one. I think it was it $350? I think it was. It cost me. I'd sold bits and pieces, so I had a wee bit of money put aside. So I bought that thing where it's down there, and I just think it's phenomenal. Now I know you've, you mentioned, did you see my video, or you heard me rabbiting on about it probably in a Friday waffle? Had you bought it before that, or was it after seeing my video that you decided?
Well, my history of VR is virtually identical to you, so I don't really need to go over it. It really started with the phone. You know, I had a Samsung. I bought the headset actually came with the contract. So I went, okay, here we are.
Yeah.
Because they give it away free, like they give you away a Samsung watch now if you ever buy a contract that's of a certain value. You know, you get the watch these days. So I got that, and just like you, I had the same experience. It either got very, very hot, or it drained your battery. And if you plugged it in while you've got your phone inside it, then basically you were tethered to a power cable, and you needed something like a 15-foot power cable, which you were not going to find. So basically, I loved it. I thought it was great. I could take it to work and just show it off and say, look, just put this on and have a look at this little video clip. And they would go, oh, I'm in a circus, or, you know, whatever it is. And you're just going, yeah, that's great, isn't it? And I said, you just think about playing a game like that. I said, oh, I'm not into games. I said, well, just think about watching a film like that. Yeah, but there aren't any films. And I'm going, yes, but it's going to come. It's going to come. It's going to be like this, you know. And then basically, I don't think I really touched VR again, because I got fed up with the the problems with it on a cheap platform like that. Because remember, that is cheap. It's 80 quid, you know, and you could even put the phone inside a cardboard cutout of a headset and so forth, which is another cheap option.
Actually, sorry, just to interrupt there, Dale. You were right. I bought the Google cardboard, although I bought a budget version. I got it on eBay for like £3, and I built this thing up and I had sellotape wrapped around it, and I'm like, whoa, this is amazing.
Yeah, and then you find out that you sweat a bit with these things on, and it turns to paper mache. So yeah, it's those sort of like hindrances that go, this is not
Cardboard
the way
VR.
forward really for this. So then the next thing would have been the PlayStation. So it was the PlayStation VR.
I forgot all about that actually.
And again, it's one of those things where I bought it. I bought a load of games when it came out with it. I put them in. I was running out of space though, because they take up quite a bit of space on the PlayStation. You don't get a lot of hard drive space. And again, it was the faffing of putting it on, tethered to a cable. And after setting it up, which would take about 20 minutes, I'd play it for about 10 minutes, and then go, I've got to do something else now. So all that faffing, we use that word a lot, faffing. And it just sits now on the top of the PlayStation doing pretty much nothing. And the reason that the Oculus became a reality for me was I watched your stream with Moose Life, and I thought, do you know what? I really want this. And then I heard, oh, it's Wi-Fi. You're not tethered to a wire. I'm going, oh, right, okay. It can be its own thing, or you can connect it to your PC. And I'm going, oh, okay, right. This is now sounding more along my sort of like wavelength. But I still didn't press that button of purchase until somebody said the Oculus Quest 2 is coming out, and it's literally only months away. And you're going to find that that's the one you need to go for. And it literally came out, and after a week I'd done my normal watching lots of YouTube things, and I went, I'll buy it. And then I found out for the same price that you bought it at, which was I think $399, which is what I think for the 64 gig model.
I bought mine second hand, yeah.
Right. So if you bought it brand new, it was like $399 for the 64 gig model. You could actually get for $399 the newer model, faster and everything, and 256 gig. And I'm going, oh no, right. I can either not spend and have the £299 version, which has got the same space, or pay an extra £100 and have the 200. Yeah, right. Well, you know which one I went with. I went, yeah, I'll have the bigger one. And then I've been playing with it. I've even watched your stream on YouTube with my VR headset on, which is really weird.
That's scary. That's
scary. China Miner in VR. You could actually turn around and say, "I've seen China Miner in VR." Cross my little tick off the bucket list.
You know what? I completely and utterly forgot that I had actually bought a PlayStation VR. So that says it all. I completely forgot about that. Yep. I watched a few YouTube videos. I thought, you know what, I'm going to buy this. And I bought quite a few games when it came out. But, excuse me, the problem I find with a lot of VR games is they're not really games, they're experiences. They're very, very short-lived. And so I don't know how many games there are on the PlayStation. The fact that I don't play my PlayStation 4 at all means that I hardly played my VR. And like yourself, I mean, I've got my VR plugged into I've got my PlayStation VR plugged into the PlayStation. So it's a simple case of me lifting it up, walking across, plonking it on my head. But I just find I think as a society we've become very, very lazy. I mean, I've seen me going to watch something on Netflix, whatever it is. I'll watch an old film. I like to watch films that I've seen loads of times because I know I enjoy it. I'll put a film on. I think it was, what was it? Planes, Trains and Automobiles or something like that. I thought, oh, I'll watch that. I'll watch it on Netflix. And I couldn't find it. And I'm sitting in my settee, and there is my DVD. I've still got all my DVDs just in case Armageddon kicks in, the apocalypse kicks in, and there is no such thing as the internet. I've still got my DVDs. And there's a copy of Planes, Trains and Automobiles, but you know, I could not be arsed getting out the seat and putting it into my PlayStation and playing it. So I ended up watching something else. And the fact that I've got to lift the VR off and I've got to take the cable, and it's, you know what the cable's like, it's about that thick, big heavy cable and it's kind of wrapped around your neck, and it just annoys me. And because of that, I've just not played it. And I mean, I bought. Oh, I didn't go daft because I would go on and have a look and think $39.99. I'm not spending that much. I'm not doing that. And I ended up not buying anything for it. And it's like yours, it's just gathering dust. I mean, I've kind of thought about, should I sell it? And I'm thinking, well, I might eventually get a PlayStation 5 at some point because my daughter's probably going to, Dad, I think we should get a PlayStation 5. And then I believe they're not, that'll work with it. So I'm going to, I'm one of these people, if I buy something, I've not used it for a while, and I think, oh, I'll sell it. And you go into Gumtree, you'll get 30 quid for it. Oh, bollocks, I'll just keep it.
It's that little box on the left. Well, on mine, it's on the left. That really annoyed me because it has this slidey thing on it, and you need to be sort of like Magnus Magnuson to work out what cables need to go in what, because this needs to go into this USB port, this needs to go back to this, and then that feeds through to this. And I'm going, by that point, I'm going, flipping heck, I didn't know I needed a degree in science to actually connect the thing up to. I mean, it's only got 10 ports at the back of this machine, and I feel like I've got 25 because I've got more cables coming out of it than a Genesis with all the accessories on it. So.
And can you imagine? I mean, is it the I'll call it, I always say the Hive, the Vive? You've got to have all your sensors dotted around the room and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so
tracking sensors. Yeah,
I think just because of the amount of faffing and fanning about. That's why I've not really embraced VR until now. This thing is, I mean, it's completely cordless. If you want to, I mean, I did eventually decide to get a decent graphics card so I can now play VR, and that was a big selling point. My mate said, "Well, I bought it," and then he went, "Oh, by the way, do you know you can plug it into your computer?" And I contacted the Lacosa, and he gave me a recommendation for a graphics card. I thought, boom. So great, I can now use it with that. And the great thing about that is the games, they're a lot cheaper than sort of the Sony games, I think. And the fact that, I mean, I take it you've got, I can't even remember what it's called again. What's that thing called again? You can, side quest. You've got side quests, obviously. Quest, yeah. So there's a lot of free games coming out as well. A lot of the games on Humble Bumble and Steam, you can get VR games for like £5, whatever. So it's great. So how long have you had it for?
Literally a week after it came out, so it must be nearly 3 to 4 weeks now. Because I think everybody on YouTube is going, "What's it like after a month?" You know how they do all the, everybody does their channels and they're saying, "Oh, look, you can do this, that, and the other," and then it's like, "Now let's do a retrospective of after a month, what you're doing with it." Oh, it's in the box.
I could probably make a video of my Spectrum next, 2 months on, and I would just have the and the tumbleweed,
yeah.
And I am stupidly guilty of, I do that all the time, but I don't want to sell it and I keep it. But I'm exactly the same. But I mean, I love that to bits. My daughter loves playing it. I mean, have you tried? We'll need to actually link up at some point. Have you tried like linking up with a mate so you're actually sitting talking to each other? And you
I'm Billy No Mates. I've got absolutely no one. In fact, I will go into. There's a little app called Big Movie or something like this. This movie cinema type thing, right? It's more a chat engine, right?
Yeah.
And I've gotten more into there than I've gone anywhere else because it's like you've got your own room. You can stream your own movies. You can invite friends to watch a movie with you. And I'm going, yeah, this is all right actually, because I'll talk about that in a little bit because 3D's dead, and this is what they're talking about now. 3D's dead. It's not in any TV or anything. In fact, VR's the only way now to watch your 3D collection, because if you've bought a 4K TV like I've got behind here, there's no 3D capability on it. And you could have bought all of those steel books, Blu-rays and all that stuff, and you're going, well, how am I going to watch this? Well, VR's the way, isn't it? Because it's virtual reality and it displays 3D. So there you are. You can watch your films on there. You've lost nothing. You haven't lost your collection. You can watch it with a VR headset, and that's pretty much what people are doing now. Is they don't want to lose all that money they spent on their physical collection, and they buy a VR headset so they can still watch a 3D film without having those glasses on. You just got a big helmet on now. You can just cover the whole of your face.
How do you find comfort wise? How do you find The Oculus Quest.
It's not bothered me, but again, this is where the difference is between the Quest and the Quest 2, is that they cut costs by giving you a cloth strap.
Yeah, I'd heard that I think the original one's got a slightly better strap, but I think you can buy sort of like third party ones, can't you? I think.
Yeah, and there's a recall, I believe, going on the Elite strap. There's two versions of this Elite strap. There's one that's all plastic; it just goes around the back. It's about 50 quid, and there's one with a battery pack that gives you a bit more power because the battery is something else that you can talk about that in a bit, Alan, about battery on these virtual reality headsets, but basically that gives you a counterweight and makes it comfortable for you. But I'm a glasses wearer now. I'm talking to you now. If I take these off, and you've turned into sort of like I don't know, you've turned into a superstar at the moment. I'm looking at you now, but I'll put my glasses on. You're Alan again, yay! But if you put these glasses on and you put it on a headset like the Quest, which is even smaller than your version, it's narrower. Then of course you're pulling your glasses off when you're taking the damn thing off, and of course it uses lenses anyway, so they push right up against your glasses, and then these people have discovered this, and you can now buy medicated contact lenses that go onto them, so you don't have to wear glasses when you're putting it on.
Oh, right,
there's but of course that's prescription, so that's going to cost you another £100. Yeah, oh, they know how to get your money out of you in these things. It's like, yeah. So now you need a strap, you want immersive sound, so you need to buy the little special headset that pops round so it looks all delicate and nice. And of course now you want prescription lenses, so you don't have to wear glasses. Oh, so by the end of that you've bought the £700 version that you were talking about earlier.
And then once you've got all the bits, it then sits on a shelf and you get the tumbleweed again.
You play it for a month and you go, right, I've had enough of that. That was fun. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we'll talk about the pluses and minuses. I think that's a thing that kind of you get with every VR headset. I personally find having on for even maybe half an hour, yeah, it gets quite uncomfortable. It's like, well, maybe I'll be more used to it now because I've got to wear a mask all day at work, and you get used to this kind of warm air constantly in your nose, and I just find them, I wouldn't say uncomfortable, but you know it's there. You can feel, you're still in VR, and annoyingly, and again, I think you can buy like a leather thing that goes around your nose. When I've got it on, if I look down, I can still see the outline of my nose in sort of daylight. But that doesn't really affect the actual viewing of it. But I do find that after a certain length of time, it becomes annoying. I really wish there was some way you could actually lie on a bed and have it pointing up the way and watch it. But apparently, you can't do that.
Oh, you can do it on mine. You just recenter. Yeah, you press the Oculus button and you go recenter, and it puts the center of what you were looking at there to the front of where you have it. You go center.
You know what? Yeah, and mine does that as well. And I'd ask my mate, and he says, "No, you can't do that." I'll need to give it a go. There's no reason why. There isn't any reason why it wouldn't do that. I'll need to give it a go because I think certainly watching a film, I think I would rather be lying in my bed on a nice, comfortable pillow, just looking up.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know whether it's the same software, but it's what they call the Guardian. You set the Guardian the floor level in there. Yeah. So basically, when you do that, you move out of your Guardian area, it comes up with this weird sort of like vector blue and red bands and so forth. And of course, then when you tap it twice and you get normal real world, you tap it again and you get the virtual world. So, of course, when you put the virtual world back on, it says your Guardian needs to be reset. You just recenter and bang, there you are. You've got it now looking at another view, but it's back forward again. So, yes, of course, you can set it to whatever view you want.
See, when you first turn that thing on and it's telling you to create a Guardian, and it's just like the future. You're drawing, and like somebody's watching you. What are you doing? Oh, I'm just drawing my Guardian. You're like that, and you're drawing in the floor, and then you've got these walls appearing. I mean, it's absolutely incredible, and I'm kind of I'm surprised that more people haven't embraced it. I think it's still it's not an impulse buy price point. I mean, to play it, well, it's was it 300 quid? That's a lot of money, and if you want to play it in the PC, then you need a decent graphics card, and most people are not going to have a £400 graphics card.
No.
It's a shame because I mean it is amazing, but I don't think it'll ever really become. Do you think VR will? Do you think in 50 years' time, when you and I are up in the arcade in the sky, do you think VR will be something that you'll sit in front of your TV and you'll just go, Alexa, VR? I was going to say Blue Peter because I'm showing my age. Oh, be quiet.
Yeah, don't turn mine on either.
I mean, we will get to a stage where you just, I mean, the Alexa is incredible. It's revolutionised. I actually just got one of my friends was giving away old school speakers. These things are like about 4 feet in height. Amazing. So I've now connected. I've got these 2 big speakers in my dining room, and I've got it plugged into my Alexa, so I can now just by AC/DC full speakers. Amazing.
Right, yeah.
So that the technology is already there, but I think in 50 years' time it'll probably be less than that. It's going to be you just sit down. It won't even be a TV. It'll just be like in Total Recall. You'll just be TV on, boom, and you'll get the whole wall will just become a TV. VR Wipeout, boom, and it'll just. I'm sure we will get to that stage. But right now, it's something. I reckon if you were to go into a shopping centre and ask 100 people, have you played VR? It wouldn't surprise me. You might get maybe 10 people, not even that. I don't think it's still a niche thing. And I think it's due to the I think it's definitely due to the price banding, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with you. I think really, even though VR's been around, like I say, we talked about mobile phones and all that sort of stuff. So we're talking 6-7 years ago now. That it's still in its infancy now. The thing about it is it's almost similar to what Nintendo Wii was. I mean, nobody would have thought that you could play a game with a wand and you could play bowling, and suddenly your gran was playing it, right? I don't think it's going to take off quite like that. But VR is almost like that. It's like you really need to embrace this. This is the future. And Oculus are not backwards at coming forwards. We're trying to promote that, because as soon as I put this damn thing on, it said, why don't you have a virtual desktop? And I'm going, oh, okay, let's have a virtual desktop. And then they're going, right, you can have a keyboard here and you can do Zoom meetings with people at work, and you can have your spreadsheet open here, and you've got a virtual keyboard in front of you, and you can buy, by the way, a Bluetooth keyboard that links in, and you can have your desktop here so that you can actually look at all your emails, all in virtual like this. You've got a virtual office now with this headset on, and you're going, right, so what you're saying is that this is a productivity headset now. It's not a gaming platform whatsoever, and a way for me to watch my films in a different way. What you're saying is this is a production tool. Oh, okay, right. Now you're starting to talk a level that might be embraced, but again, it's too early. It's not there. It's too buggy. It crashes. It falls over. Battery life. You've got all sorts of issues that they've got to iron out. And that's why I asked a question. I'm pretty sure that you might not have got to it yet. Have we put enough into batteries life? Have we done enough development? And I think I brought the phone analogy in, where the Nokia has been, you could charge it for a week and smartphones are an hour and all of this sort of stuff. Well, that's where we are with this, and cars are going to be exactly the same. Yeah. So we need to put development into that. And then when people are more comfortable with, oh, right, so I can actually charge this, and I've got 3 days, right? Okay, now I'm in, because you get what, 2 hours, 2 hours at the moment on an. You're right.
You're right, and you're absolutely right about batteries. So was that a waffle question?
Yeah, no, it was like I was saying. Where graphic cards, they say that they put too much productivity into developing a graphic card, but sound cards, they never put any money into it. And I said, well, it's a similar thing with batteries, because I must have missed that bit, Dale. Sorry, and I remember that everybody used to come in and say, I've got the latest Nokia, it's the 3510, and I can charge this thing and I can play Snake and it will last me a week. And somebody will come along and say, yeah, I've got the iPhone, it does absolutely everything, lasts me about 6 hours. Well, the actual big selling point of the Nokia was 5 days of charge. Now that nobody talks about that one bit. The only thing you're talking about with batteries is it going to blow up in my ear anymore or not? That's the only thing you're talking about with batteries.
Yeah, right though. I mean, nobody the phone I've got is a Samsung S7. It's, I don't know, it's about 4 years old. I won't be replacing it until it stops working. I'm not interested in swapping it at all.
S7. I think that's an S7.
Aye, well, I've got the same one. I'm not interested. I mean, I don't know. You can apparently is it about £1,200 for the latest iPhone? I'm really not quite sure what it does that mine doesn't do. Maybe it takes a slightly better picture. But so yeah, you've got all these new. Well, I don't know what these new features are, but you know they'll try and punt out this phone to everybody. It's got this. It's got 4K photographs and face recognition and all this bollocks. But they don't. And what about the batteries? Well, I don't like to talk about the batteries because, as you see, I mean, when I leave from my work at 7 o'clock in the morning, when I'm coming home at night, it's like I've got 8%. They listen to a podcast. They listen to some music on Amazon. They phone my girlfriend. Whoa, I need to make a choice here. And then invariably, obviously, I phone my girlfriend, just in case she's watching this. And then it runs out, you know, and it's a pain in the, it's an absolute pain in the arse when your phone doesn't last because, you know, it's,
my mum says it as it actually is. Now she's not very well at the moment, but she's 81, my mum. And I told her, I just got in late one day and I said, I'm sorry I'm late, mum, I've just gone and got the new phone. And she turned around and said, so does this phone then make you sound clearer than on the phone? No. Well, what's the bloody point in it then? What's so different about this phone that you just got than the one that you had before? I mean, it's a phone, isn't it? It's supposed to make phone calls. That's my mum. She just sees it in black and white. It's not like, oh, it's got a new camera on it and it's got a new big display. She goes, well, it's a phone. You want to make phone calls on it, don't you? And I said, that's secondary now. It's all about photography now. That's what you. So that's your phone.
You're missing a trick. Your mum needs to get a YouTube channel. Del Boy's mum says it like it is. You know, the latest iPhone 10 doesn't sound any better than my traditional thingy phone.
Be one of your channels. It's that 30-second review. iPhone.
Minimalist review. Yep.
There you go.
Same shit sound, 10 times the price. But it's true though. It's absolutely true. And I'm kind of getting on my high horse here. You and I are talking to each other online, and we're doing all this wonderful stuff. And I mean, I keep, of all the technology that exists, the thing that's stolen, I keep saying this. I'm definitely turning into my dad. I repeat myself all the time. But when you've been talking pish online on a YouTube channel for 7 years, you will start to repeat yourself. I just bought myself a 256 gigabyte micro SD card. You know, and how? I mean, you know, that piece of paper. That's about the size of the piece of metal. It's got 250. That's got 50,000 games.
Yeah.
What was I talking about? Yeah, you've got all this wonderful technology, yet they can't come up with a battery that lasts for like 10 hours. Unless you have I don't know, the latest one, maybe not. Or else you get to a point, I'll just phone you. Oh shit. I don't have a G, it's an E internet connection. Oh, hang on. So how was your day? Hello? Oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah. That's all you get. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
What? And then you have when the service comes back, you then discuss what happened. Oh, what happened here? Oh, I don't know. You lost me. Yeah, I don't know. You went crackly. Hello? Are you there? It's Norman Collier. You know, good evening, ladies. You know, that's what it's like. Yeah. Why can't they get their act together and give us some reception? Allow us to make phone calls. We've still got this problem, no matter how fancy your phone is and expensive, that you get to a point and you go, oh, Christ, there's no signal.
Yeah. You've got to basically turn the brightness so far down you can't see nothing on the screen. You've got to turn the Wi-Fi off, the Bluetooth off. You've got to turn, and then basically you've got, oh, I've got a phone now. Then you might just get a day. Oh, thanks. And then they even know this because they turn around and say, I'm going to put you in power save mode when you get to 15% of your battery. That might give you 10 minutes. Thanks.
And then my Samsung, just as it's about to die, I think the screen goes bright and it starts going beep, beep, beep. I'm like, stop using all my battery for Christ's sake. That's another 5 minutes.
Why not give me an alert that turns my battery even drain it even faster? Yeah,
it'll vibrate as well. It's like, whoa, it's almost like, well, you're too stupid, so I'm just going to kill your battery stone dead. I'll make the screen brighter, I'll make the screen vibrate, and I'll also play some beeps, and then I'll just switch it off.
Exactly.
Anyway, yeah. So batteries, yeah. Yeah,
that's why I like my my Fenix, my Garmin Fenix watch, because it lasts like 5 days, my fitness watch.
Nice.
But if you buy a Samsung watch, it's like an Apple Watch a day.
Yeah.
And you're saying, you know, and they're saying, oh, look, you can do all your fitness and that. And I say, no, get a fitness watch that lasts, that hasn't got those lovely graphical displays. It does all your walking and your statistics and stuff, but it gives you 5 days. I mean, I could go running. There's no way I'm going to go running and keep going for 5 days, right? That ain't going to happen, right? I can't walk for longer than about 4 hours. So I ain't going to be running for constantly for 5 days. But what I'm actually saying is I can go to sleep, I can do my walking, and it will take me 5 days before I have to charge it up. It's the Nokia of, it's the Nokia of watches.
Whereas, yeah, a phone, you're constantly, oh, I need to charge my phone, oh, I need to charge your phone, and then you're going to work and you're like, oh, bollocks, it's got 12% and I've not charged it.
Probably the best thing I've bought, I think, in 3 years has been my Garmin. I live by my Garmin watch, so there you go.
Nice. But yeah, it's just a top tip to anybody that designs batteries: buy yourself a DS Lite, and you'll see how batteries should be made. Trust me, I bought a DS Lite off Gumtree.
That had a great battery, that did.
And I think I've charged it once, and it's without fail, it'll just still be there. And I play the thing, I don't know what, and it's got a bright screen as well. I don't know what Nintendo knew about batteries, which no other manufacturer seems to know.
Yeah, because I'm not sure if it's nicum or lithium or whatever it is in there, but I tell you what, you charge it up, you can turn it off, and I'm guaranteed you can go back to it in 6 months and it will still have enough charge for you to actually be at the save state or the place that you were at before. And I'm going, bloody hell. I mean, I thought the thing would be dead. It's actually still going.
What do they know that other folk don't know? But so anyway, back in track. We're kind of sidetracked slightly. I'm not going to edit this out because that's part of any of my videos. I always get sidetracked and we talk about stuff completely unrelated. But we're talking about batteries. But yeah, so the VR thing. What do you reckon, about 2-3 hours? Battery out of it,
so if we're going to do a pro and con, I'll tell you what, let's do cons first, pros first. That's how I think it, because I want to end on a high.
Absolutely.
The con of a VR headset, doesn't matter what you buy, is batteries. The battery, they'll always turn around and say it doesn't really matter too much about the battery because you don't want to have motion sickness and you don't want to have it on for too long. 2 hours is actually quite good because that's pretty much you having a good time on a game, and then you can charge it up. And the nice thing about it is that you can charge it up in about 3 hours and you can get 2 hours lifestyle out of it. So it's almost like a 1-for-1. It's not quite 1-for-1. And I suppose from that point of view, it's great. And they always turn around and say, and you can have it charging while you're connected to your PC, but it's a trickle charge. So it will eventually drain even though you've got it connected to a USB port. So unless you're tethered to a power supply, the actual charger itself,
to be fair,
it'll drain.
To be fair, I bought this thing. What's it called? I bought this specifically for my VR, and that'll give you, that'll give you an extra 10 hours. So that was about 30 quid off Amazon.
A power bank.
It's pretty weighty. What you could technically do, and I did actually do that because my mate had it. I actually have it gaffer taped to the back of the headset to kind of offset the weight, but I've not bothered. But the lead that you get with these things is pretty long, so you could quite easily have that. How
big's your head? How big's your head? That looked like an electrical coil. It would have gone round your head about 15 times, wouldn't it? From the power bank there to the front connector.
So you could quite easily have that plugged into that. That could be sitting on the couch next to you. So it's whilst the battery is an issue, get yourself. It's quite easily solved with a power bank thing. It's not a lot of money off Amazon, 20 quid, whatever, maybe less. Any other? I've already mentioned that the cons are they've still not in my opinion, they've still not solved the discomfort factor.
Yeah.
After about half an hour, you get a bit sweaty. Then, of course, somebody comes to the door and you take it off, and there goes, "Why have you got a ring around your face?"
Yeah. There is a discomfort factor to it, and there is obviously a lot of people might get motion sickness. Now, I don't get motion sickness very much, but the discomfort is it's stuck to the front of your face, and there's nothing at your back unless you buy something that counterweights, just like you said. So there's that. The tethering's gone, so that's going to be a plus in a moment. But
yeah,
that is a mighty problem, and it gets quite warm depending on what you're doing with it. You know, whether you're playing something really intensive or you're just watching a video, you will sweat. And it has a foam band, and you do need to buy what they call a silicone guard, and then basically you're not too bad. But then it's dripping down your face, so you know you're not going to get very far in regards to comfort with these things yet, because they're just too bulky and hot for you to be anything other than discomfort in about 2 hours. And after 2 hours, I'm going, I've had enough. So
because I think the sheer being in a VR thing, I don't know whether it's the actual being in a VR experience itself is quite tiring, or that it's because you can physically feel this thing in your face. I think it's more to do with, I think I have played some games. I do get motion sickness. I have played some games, and the worst one was probably Wipeout on the PSVR, which is an amazing game. But what was I going to say? Yeah, you're just completely broke my train of thought. What was I talking about there? Yeah, it's still after half an hour. I think I've kind of had enough. I'm like, I want to get this thing off. And people that my girlfriend's tried it. There's a few people have tried it. And they'll go, "Oh, this is amazing," but they're like, "Oh, I need to take this off," and they kind of can't wait to get it off after a short space of time.
And that's and I think it's probably worse. And I'm only saying this because I think it's true, but I don't know if it is. If you are a glasses wearer, it's 10 times worse.
That's it. Yeah,
I think personally myself. And the other thing you got to think about is they don't think about these things very much. Is that it's a sponge front. And if you're watching it for 2 hours, sponge, when it gets wet, because you've got a strap that's supposed to keep it to your head, it starts to press even more to your head because it's gotten wet. So, of course, anything that's wet will diminish like this. And that means that thing's getting closer and closer to your eye. And you're going, right, now it's uncomfortable. And so it just even gets worse. So.
Yeah, and I find just sometimes having something sort of pressing on my nose as well. Maybe you being a glasses wearer, it's not, I hate... I mean, I wear contact lenses, but on odd occasion I wear glasses. I don't like them, but I don't like the fact that you can feel this thing just sort of like that. It's like something just pressing on your nose all the time, and you can feel it. And until they come up with technology, whether it's going to be completely wireless, headless, whatever.
What you really want is you want VR in contact lenses. That's when you've got VR, isn't it?
Obviously, they had I was going to say they had a crack at the what was it? Google glasses or something, and that went down like a lead balloon.
Got done, didn't they? Because everybody was taking those into the cinema and basically recording all of the stuff in the cinema on them.
Obviously the battery life, that's the controller for the thing. I think it's similar to your one. They were kind of saying, "Oh, it's the battery's not great." I mean, it's I'm not going to attempt to open it. It's a double A battery. Now, you can get... I was at IKEA at the weekend there, and I got, like, 20 batteries for, like, £3. So I don't really see, the price of these. You can obviously get rechargeable batteries if you want, but I don't really see that being a big problem. Do like I did and just stick an extra... If you're going to a mate's house with your VR, stick a couple of extra batteries in your case.
This is the thing. I've had mine now for a month. I haven't. My actual controllers are saying at the moment 56% battery life.
Oh, that's good.
So basically, I bought I'll buy a load of Duracells. So I did that. I haven't opened the packs up yet. I mean, that was a waste of $5.99, wasn't it? I mean, I could have bought a game. But no, I went and stupid me went and bought a load of batteries, didn't I?
Have you got a case for it by any chance?
No, that's the next thing.
Well, there you go.
That's one of the things that you got to buy next, isn't it?
That's called Amazon Basic, and it's actually for the PSVR. But you can just go in. Well, I mean, you can. Well, I'm going to attempt to hold it up if I can. It's you cut out, it holds everything.
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah,
got the
yeah.
foam. All you do is I've ripped out a bit of the foam, the VR, all the cables, everything just sits in it. And obviously, I think it was about 12 quid.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I mean,
Because
obviously, that's the other thing, is that, which will be a plus, I suppose, is the third-party support for it. There's a ton. Everybody wants to cut into this thing.
I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link to that. It's
yeah, please do.
Amazon,
yeah, that'd
Amazon.
be great.
Yeah,
but I don't know if yours does this, but this is a plus, and I really wanted to end on the pluses. But it's got hand tracking.
Yes,
so you can put your hands in front of your glasses like this, and then suddenly you can start pinching and pointing and all of this, and you can actually do your games and all of this sort of stuff without the controllers at all. So another reason why I didn't need batteries, wasn't it? They didn't say that on the box. Oh, by the way, you don't need batteries or our controllers because you can use your hands. Oh, thanks.
Just before we kind of get on to the pluses, there's a couple of negatives. One, you look like a complete twat when you've got it on. You do, let's be honest. And secondly, always be mindful that although you can't see other people, people can see you.
Yeah.
So just be mindful about what you're streaming onto your Google Chromecast.
Oh yeah, and
you do like an absolute twat.
I'm pretty sure if you've been framed or whatever was still going, there'd be a 50 or 250 pound thing coming out straight out to you that you just went and spent £300 on a VR headset. And you've just destroyed your £2,000 4K TV by bashing yourself into it, because that's so funny. It's got to get you 250 quid, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there you go.
I mean, again, I think VR. I think we'll get together at some point on VR. It's good fun. You can be talking and almost that kind of stuff. But it's still, and that's a big. I suppose it is a big no-no. VR is still primarily sort of a solo thing, and especially if you've got a mate around and you're giving him a shot, he's sitting going like that, and you're sitting like that. You're watching this.
I'm going to put a question to you, Alan, because I really respect your opinion on things. Do you think VR this year has taken off like it has? Because if you look at the prices on these things, and if you look at the sales figures, you'll see that VR's gone up by quite a few percent because of COVID. We're now so self-isolated. There's so many people and our friends and our cousins and so forth that have been furloughed, haven't got a lot of time on our hands, that they've gone and bought the next thing to keep them entertained, and basically this has now made you even more isolated. Would you say that is a possibility, that people now are more isolated with this on, or do you think it's actually not that big a thing?
I don't know. I mean, when you're using the thing, it's not a group thing, unless, of course, like I said, if you connect it up to your TV, then other people can. Have you tried that yet? Connecting up to your
casting?
TV?
Yeah, I tried casting once. My mum wanted to know what I was doing, and I said, "Mum, I can't show you what I'm doing at the moment. It's porn." No, I didn't say that. No. I said, "I can't show you what I'm casting."
You can't beat a prawn cocktail. I mean, it's obviously it's fundamentally a solo kind of a hobby. But I think, I mean, I've heard, and I know for a fact, because I sold a PlayStation 4, which I bought for about 120 quid. I sold that for 190 quid about 3 months ago, because people are just wanting video games. I actually read, in fact, it was on the news last week. They were saying that, is it 53% of people are now saying that having computer games has actually made them a lot happier during COVID, because it's given them a kind of outlet. And that's where I think VR is fantastic. You could be sitting in your house, it could be peeing with rain outside, and you can stick this headset on, and suddenly you're in this. I mean, you're in this other world. I was doing the Anne Frank experience. I don't know if that's completely free, and it was awesome. I mean, I was showing my girlfriend that, and you're walking about inside this house, and it's when you've got this headset on, you are actually inside. So you don't need to jump in a car. You don't need to go anywhere. Put this headset on, it transports you to a brand new world. And I always think that I don't know if it is getting used, but I actually wish they would come out with more experiences, not so much climbing Everest or whatever, just having, I don't know, walking along a beach, but actually having it, you could actually be walking about and picking up shells and looking at crabs, or having a forest scene when you're in a forest. It's winter time, the snow's falling down. I mean, I work in a sort of residential home with senior citizens, and I know for a fact that a lot of these people, they're deteriorated because they're not getting to see anybody, they're not getting to leave the house, and with the latest restrictions again, it's just getting worse. And I can imagine to put on a headset on an old age pensioner and say, look about, you're in a forest, and they'll be like, oh goodness, and it takes, and you can imagine people who've maybe got disabilities, who maybe they've had a stroke, they're bed bound, giving them the opportunity to be somewhere, especially the fact that you can. I've tried it briefly. You can have Google Maps on it. So you can be in your street and you're walking along. Well, I don't really get to use it because I get motion sickness. But the fact that you're in a VR, and you know somebody might be in a hospital, and they might never be getting out of hospital, and you can. Where do you want to go? Do you want to go to Edinburgh? There you go. You're in Princess Street, and you know that's a magical thing.
Yeah. I mean, it has a lot of options, and I look back at my life and go, I remember when I was at school, and sometimes we'd have a history lesson, and they'd wheel out the TV. Do you remember you used to get they used to wheel out the TV with a video recorder, and they'd show what was going on Open University, and there'd be Picture Box or something, and there'd be, and you'd be watching this 25-minute
How We Used to Live. Do you remember that one? How We Used to Live.
How We Used to Live, yeah. Like I say, these little segments. And what I'm thinking now is that we're in the 21st century. Is VR now the history lesson that we had all back in those days? We had the telly, and they showed these little broadcasts that were on Open University on between 7 a.m. and like 11 o'clock in the morning, for the schools. Now you've got a teaching tool where you can all have headsets on. You could actually be at Henry VIII's court or whatever it is, and you'll be learning about Anne Boleyn and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But then are we then also thinking to ourselves, really not helping the person with a disability, a person that can't see, a person who can't hear? Would VR then alienate that person? Because VR is very much a very visual audio type thing, and this is where school is supposed to be a level playing field, so it would be difficult for them. So there's a lot to learn. There's a lot of things that we can do with this, I think, but it's going to take some thought.
Yeah, I think where we are now, I think we've had a glimpse. Well, certainly people like ourselves that have kind of embraced it, we've had a glimpse into the future, and I think VR is the future. I don't think we're there yet. I think we're far from being there yet. Currently, I think it's awesome what we've got, but I think until it becomes more comfortable, better, what do you call it? Better battery power, whatever, and just when it becomes as normal as switching your Skybox on or Netflix, you'll just go to your VR thing. Oh, I fancy going down to Cornwall, down to the coast. Boom. Oh, what the hell? Yeah, that'll be the future. I think it is the future. I just think it's excellent. I mean, just to kind of get back to games for a second, it is Moose Life. I think that's a fantastic game.
Yeah,
it's just. It doesn't make you're still sort of shooting, you're still playing the game in a sort of 2D base, up, down, left, and right. That doesn't really change. But just when you're being completely submerged, it's a submersive experience. You're turning around, the little particle effects just embrace you. You've got the headphones on. When you're in that game, you become at one with the game, and that's you can get that with non-VR, but it takes it up another level, I think.
My mum said it best, because I told her that I bought this VR headset because I wanted to play this game, and she was watching me play this game on my monitor in front of me here. And I said, I bought it, Mum. I said, because everything just fills the whole screen. She said, can't you just sit closer? I said, well, you're missing the point, Mum. It actually looks really nice while I've got this on. And she said, wow. I just don't get it myself. And then she walked off and made a cup of tea. So
Del Boy's mum reviews the Oculus Quest 3. Oculus, if you're working on version 3, you need to give Del Boy's mum a prototype, and she'll review it for you. She'll says it how it is. You can just sit closer and save yourself £400.
Yeah, that's pretty much what she said. She said, I've got to charge you more rent because you obviously got far too much money to buy something like that. She said, is it made of gold? I said, no, it's not made of, it's plastic. So they saw you coming. That's the next thing she says. She says a lot. They saw you coming. My mum, words of wisdom.
Fantastic. Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. But yeah, just to really sum up, why do you think people should buy VR? Do you think they should buy it, and why do you think they should?
I think now's the time to give it a try if you've got the money to do so. I think it's now at the point where you can get some major benefits of not being tethered to a wire. You got freedom of movement. You get the full effect without having to have a powerful PC. The cost is not now so out of reach that you'd be spending. You'd have to take a credit loan out for about 6 months to pay it all off. By the time you get to a month, you'd still be paying off the loan and not using the damn thing anymore. I think there's a lot more going on and a lot more buzz about it. So I think the positives are there. And from a certain point of view, you might now be re-entertained in some of the old stuff that you've been doing and looking at it in a new way. And what I mean by that is you've seen an old film, you've seen it 500 times before, put the headset on, you're seeing it in a different way again. You'll be revisiting a film that you didn't think you'd be revisiting again. And that's where I asked that question the other day to you in your waffle, which was, did you buy your cabinet, and has that reinvigorated you to play those games again? And do you keep doing that to re-energize yourself in this hobby? And that was the actual full scope of the question. And I think VR is again re-energized me into looking at something that I've done 100 times before in another way. But as long as I move forward with it, keep up with something that will entertain me. If that's productivity, it's productivity. Then it's made its money. If it doesn't, then it's another toy that I bought that will just sit on the shelf.
You're right, though. I mean, just think of any game on your PC. Imagine playing it on never mind a 55-inch TV. Imagine playing it on a cinema screen. You can be sitting in front of the game where you're actually having to go like that and turn your head to take in the full thing. I mean, I was watching an AC/DC concert on my VR a couple of months ago, and I deliberately put it almost it's not virtual reality, it's just the big screen in the cinema, but I was sitting almost in the front row, and I was like that, and I was having to kind of turn my head. Oh, there's Brian Johnson. Oh, there's Angus Young, and I was just like that, and I was kind of looking up at the screen, and you've got the full surround. It's not for surround the sound, but it's as you say, it takes something that you've played 1,000 times, whether it's a film, whether it's a game, and you're playing it in a whole new way, and it's just awesome. I think it's something. I wouldn't recommend anybody that's never tried it goes out and lashes out £300 in it. I would say, go and get yourself you can pick them up out of Asda, a £10 headset that will put your phone in. Give it a go. If you don't like it, it's only £10. Trust me, if it's something that you like and it excites you like it has with me and obviously yourself, then it's an amazing thing. It really is.
I suppose I shouldn't say this with COVID as it is, but if you've got somebody that you know that's got one and they won't mind you borrowing their older version of it, so basically give them your old phone and let them experience Samsung VR and say, right, well, it's 100 times better than that, and they like it, then that's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it could be that you've always got your money back guarantee if this doesn't work, and you could buy it from Argos, I suppose, play it for about 2 weeks, and you can go back and say, sorry, it made me feel sick, and I can give you a medical certificate that tells you that this thing's the thing that's making me sick, and they've got no option but to give you your money back. That's taking the piss a little bit, but that you could do that.
You're absolutely right. I mean, I've I wouldn't recommend Argos because they can be quite fickle. Not like the good old days with Argos where you'd go to a music festival. You'd buy a tent, go to the festival, come back, package it up, and take the tent back, and then they cottoned onto that. But yeah, Amazon are fantastic.
Argos are crap these days. Do you know? I went into our Argos and I said, "Can I have a pint of milk?" And they went, "Well, you're in Sainsbury's. You're in Sainsbury's, aren't you?" I said, "Well, I want some milk." They said, "You have to go over into Sainsbury's for that." Well, you're Argos. You're in Sainsbury's. I want a pint of milk. They didn't get the joke, but yeah, that's Argos.
It's go to I mean, Amazon. They're fantastic. I bought a head, I think, for shaving my head. I can't remember how much it was, and then a couple of weeks later, it came down. I think it was Black Friday deal. It came down by like 60 quid, and I'm like, bloody hell. So I just went in the line. I goes, by the way, I bought this 2 weeks ago. It's bringing me out in a rash. That's fine. Well, they email you the label. Boom. Then I just went back on and ordered it cheap. You know, so if you say to them, if you buy it and you say to them, look, I've got it's making me feel sick, can't use it. You can any excuse at all, package it up and you'll get it back again. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend you just jump. It's not. I don't think VR is for everybody. But people that knock it are generally people that have never actually tried it. Like a lot of things, you know what I mean? But give it a go. Trust me, I think it will blow your mind. It certainly has with me. It's not something that I'm going to do every single night, but look upon it, going for a nice meal. It's a fantastic thing. You wouldn't want to do it every night, but it's an experience, and it's something you've got to try. And I think it's the future.
Yeah, and when you do get to the point of saying, right, I'm going to pull the trigger, the next question is going to be, which one should I get? Should I get the Oculus Rift, or the Oculus Quest, or the Oculus Quest 2? Right? They are now in battle with each other because one's last year's model, but one's the newest model, but they're two totally different products. And only you can answer, would you buy the Oculus Quest 2? And only I can say, would I buy your Oculus Quest over the one that I've got? And I would be hard pushed. There's a lot of debate going on which one to buy.
Really?
And yeah. Well, just think about it. £399, and I've got more space. I've got 90 hertz mode, which basically takes away the motion sickness, they say.
Oh,
there is but then again, yours, they're saying is more comfortable. Basically it fits on your face better. It does all the things of the other one. And some people are saying the Oculus Quest 2 is not all it lives up to be, and the Oculus Quest still has its place. And that's why they haven't. That's why the second-hand market hasn't dropped, even though the Oculus Quest 2 has been out there.
I think it's safe to say. I mean, obviously, when a new one comes out, you go, "Oh," but I mean, I've had this for about 6 months, whatever. I think you would be delighted with either. You know,
they say that yours has got the better display.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I think I would be hard pushed to. I would be hard. I mean, I've never tried the second one, but I would say if you were going to buy one, if you can get one, I would personally say go for the newer model, because that would make sense. But you're saying that the kind of jury's out, so I would think go for whatever one you can get cheaper. If you can get 100 quid cheaper, I would say go for it.
Don't listen too much to all the pish that people are saying. Just go with the one that you want. Aye. If you want the newer model, get the newer model. Just realize that if you can get a bargain and the Oculus Quest is out there and it's half the price of, say, buying the top end of the newer model, you could be thinking twice. There is a real reason for buying the Oculus Quest.
Yeah, definitely. So anyway, I think that's just about it. Apologies, we didn't show any games. If you want to look at games, then go and look at other channels. I think hopefully you've enjoyed myself and Dale's opinions on it. I've had mine 6 months. I do love it. Quite clearly you love yours as well, Dale. So, if you're a certain age, if you watch your channels, whatever, you'll know what I like. Trust me, I think you'll enjoy it. But
I like looking like a twat. It's great.
So anyway, guys, listen, any questions at all, please put the comments down below. Thanks, Dale, for joining me as always, mate. And as always, thank you very, very much for watching.
Bye-bye.